What's going on, Browns fans? We got a fun show planned out for today because we're going to be positive. Even though Christmas ended with some coal in our stockings, here's what's coming up on today's show. A Deshaun Watson trade rumor linked to the Browns came out just a couple days ago, so we'll touch on that to kick things off. What's Baker's future in Cleveland looking like these days after a disastrous Week 16 performance? And then speaking of the Browns-Packers game, we'll recap that one, talk about the blown calls, the referees, all the highlights from the game, so all that coming up on today's show. First things up, though, the Deshaun Watson trade rumor. This was leaked just a couple days ago in the holiday season. Didn't want to let it get past us, but Albert Breer, who is an NFL reporter, went on 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland and had this to say: I think if and when Watson becomes available, and I think we all assume the Texans are going to get him out on the market in the same sort of way the Lions got Stafford out on the market pretty quickly last year. And obviously, all of this is pending the legal stuff, but I expect the Browns to be a player. I think the Browns are going to throw their hat in. So it's a little bit new here because here's the deal with Watson. He's got over 20 pending civil lawsuits of sexual allegations against him right now, which is why he hasn't played a snap all season long. Plus, he asked to get traded. That's a whole different conversation. Now, here's the other deal. The Browns were not really a part of his original trade rumored list. If you remember last offseason, Watson asked for the trade. The Dolphins, the Broncos, and the Panthers were a part of it. And it wasn't really seeming like the Browns were because the Browns were very content with Baker Mayfield. Why would they go after Deshaun Watson? Baker just won them their first playoff game in who knows how long. But Watson does have a no-trade clause. So what does that mean? It means if Deshaun Watson doesn't want to go to that team, they can't trade him. They need him to sign off on wherever he goes. We're talking about Deshaun Watson here, though. He was absolutely magnificent last year. NFL leader in passing yards, 70% completion percentage, 33 touchdowns to 7 interceptions, and that's just what he did through the air. We know how great he is on the ground as well. So if the Browns can get this guy, yeah, of course, I think there's only 4 teams in the NFL that wouldn't take him. The Bucs, the Chiefs, they all have their quarterback. Everyone else is absolutely all in on trying to get Deshaun Watson. It's just how realistic would you be? And all the teams that just drafted a rookie quarterback. But let me ask this question to you. Before we get a little deeper into this, do you want the Browns to trade for Deshaun Watson? This will be the pinned comment on today's video. So if a YouTube ad break hits you right now, scroll on down. Give me a T for trade or a P for pass. Let me know what you're thinking down below, and I'll give you my answer in just a moment. Now, the big thing for Deshaun Watson is he has that no-trade clause. So he gets to say where he goes and where he doesn't go. The Texans can't just ship him off to Alaska or anywhere they want. Deshaun Watson has that clause, so he gets to sign off on anywhere he goes, which begs the question, would he want to go to Cleveland? He originally just had Denver and Miami and kind of the Panthers on his trade list. And before the NFL draft, there was way more talk, like the 49ers and the Jets. But they all picked rookie quarterbacks, so they're probably not going to try and get involved in the dance for Deshaun Watson. I did make a mock trade to give you an idea of what I think it would look like. And it's tough to gauge. This is a kind of revolutionary trade of what it would take to land Deshaun Watson. The Browns, I have, of course, getting Deshaun Watson. And then the Texans get, I think it's a haul, 2 firsts and 2 seconds, and Baker Mayfield, a little bit of a, an upgrade from the Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff trade because you get a better quarterback, I think, in Baker Mayfield and Jared Goff, and you get more picks. But is that even enough? Just 2 firsts and 2 seconds for Deshaun Watson? I'm not sure. There's never been a player at this caliber traded before. Matthew Stafford trades the closest we have to it, but it really isn't that close because Deshaun Watson is really not even in his prime, and Matthew Stafford may be kind of out of his prime and just has a couple years left in the tank. But speaking of this trade, I want to pose the question to you guys. What do you think of it? Would you do this trade? A for accept or D for decline? Let me know. I would accept it, I think, because you get Deshaun Watson. And I say I think just because I'm a little hesitant to give up all those picks. But at the end of the day, it's Deshaun Watson we're talking about. Those 2 firsts and 2 seconds, you put all those 4 players together, and good chance they're not going to come close to the talent Deshaun Watson has. There is a bit of a catch here. The Browns don't have very much draft capital to offer. They have their first-round pick right this year, which is going to be somewhere in the 18 to 24, 22-ish range. And I don't think the Texans would want to trade Deshaun Watson for the 19th overall pick in this year's draft and then that many spots back in the second round. They want to get early in the first round. They want to get in the top 10. It doesn't appear like a 19th pick in this year's draft. And then next year with Watson, hopefully the Browns are in the playoffs and they have the 32nd overall pick. They're in the Super Bowl. They're winning the Super Bowl. So the Browns don't have many chips to bring to the table, which is why I just don't envision them finding a way to make a trade happen. But you never know. Maybe they throw enough starting talent at the Houston Texans, they can find a way to make it happen. So that's where I stand on this. But guys, let me ask this question to you as well. Do you blame the refs for Week 16? We'll switch gears here and we'll talk about the Packers-Browns game. But let me know. Why for yes and for no. There were some horrible calls, and I tweeted them out. So follow me at Twitter, at Matthew Petey. You can see all the highlights from the game right there because the refs sure did not do the Browns any favors whatsoever. So if you do blame the refs for that game, then you're in the right spot. You're one of us. Think the refs screwed over the Browns? Then subscribe to the channel today because that's what we're talking about for the rest of the show. And we talk about that kind of stuff all the time here on the Browns Report, the latest news and rumors. So subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And if you have, we appreciate you being a part of the channel. Next up, though, our guy Baker. A lot to talk about Baker after the Browns-Packers game. Baker comes off the COVID list. Hope he's, going to put the cape on. He's going to be the hero. And it's anything but that. He single-handedly cost the Browns the game. 4 interceptions, 2 touchdowns, but those 4 picks. And there's that one, the second one, knocking on the door in the red zone. And he just so violently threw it way over the head of his receiver and an easy pick for Green Bay. And then there's the pick at the end of the game, which I think was a missed call of the referees, flat out. And it puts Baker in a tough situation because you wanted to believe Baker was the guy going forward, but Baker's on the last year of his contract here, he's going to be in the last year of his contract in 2022. And I don't know if a GM that didn't draft him and a coach that wasn't here when he was drafted want to be tied to him going forward. We're going to talk about Baker a little more in depth in just a moment. But first, there's still sweet deals going on at Fanatics. Sure, Christmas is over, but you can still get stuff 25% off when you go to chatsports.com/BrownsBeanie. It's still cold out. Just because Santa came and went already, that does not mean he took the weather with him. So get yourself hooked up with this awesome beanie, 25% off. It's $22. I'll have that link right there at the bottom of the screen. It's also in the comments and the description of this video, so make sure you get yourself hooked up with that nice Browns beanie. Going back to Baker Mayfield, like I said, 5th-year option was picked up for 2022. And I was thinking about this last night. I wonder if the Browns were to take the Eagles' approach, right? When the Eagles had Carson Wentz and made a shocking draft pick in the second round, getting Jalen Hurts, who is now QB1, when we know how the rest of the history went. Because if you're Kevin Stefanski, I think your game plan was close to perfect. The only hiccup is you would like to probably see him run the ball there instead of throwing it down the stretch with under 2 minutes to go. But you also have a first overall pick in Baker Mayfield. Can you sue the guy for having faith in his quarterback that he's not going to turn it over and what should have been a defensive holding to begin with? Because I tweeted out the video. It was obviously tugged and hold. There's no doubt about that. But I don't know if Barry and Stefanski want to tie themselves to this guy, which makes me believe Baker may not be there after next season. But do you believe in Baker Mayfield? This is the question Browns fans have been asking kind of since week 2, right, when he got hurt against the Texans. Type B for believe or type D for doubter. Let me know what you're thinking in the comments section below. I don't think Baker's gone unless a huge blockbuster trade like the Deshaun Watson has him going out. Let's say the Browns draft a quarterback in this upcoming draft. Okay, it's going to be like Jalen Hurts and Carson Wentz. The backup's going to sit behind Baker for a year, and the Browns are going to hope that they have a great problem on their hands, which is having 2 good quarterbacks. A rare problem, but one you would take. And in that situation, you follow the playbook of what the Eagles did. You trade Carson Wentz. You trade whatever one probably gives you more draft capital, but you stick with the one you believe is the future going forward. And that's why Andrew Berry has a very difficult decision to make. He's got Baker Mayfield going into the final year of his contract in 2022. Does he not extend him this upcoming year? And if he doesn't extend him, you've got a lame duck quarterback who, let's say he balls out next year. Okay, well, he didn't extend him when he was cheap. Now his price tag just went up $7-8 million per year because he had a great season, and that's what you get on the open market. But let's say you do extend him. Now you're stuck with Baker Mayfield. He just threw like 4 interceptions against the Packers. You got bad Baker. It's going to be a very hard choice for the Browns and GM Andrew Berry specifically of what to do with Baker Mayfield. But I want to talk about Kevin Stefanski a little bit because he's kind of had his honeymoon period phase out and end throughout the course of the season. Coach of the year last year, but some of the play calling this year, the decision making just wasn't on par. He was shorthanded today, and he comes in and he out-prepared Green Bay. There's no doubt about it. They marched down the field. If you got a good kicker, you're up 7-0 right there. And he put his team in a position to win despite Baker at the time throwing 3 interceptions. Joe Woods got a little heat earlier this year. His defense limited Aaron Rodgers and did their part with only 1 pass rusher, missing Clowney and, of course, McKinley. So for Stefanski, who just master planned this game to a T, and all he needed Baker Mayfield was to not throw 4 interceptions. He built in 3 interceptions of slack. And the Browns still lost because Baker Mayfield single-handedly cost them the game. Let's say he doesn't throw that pick at the end. As long as they don't throw it at the interception in the red zone the second time, the Browns come away with 3 points, and they're winning the game if everything else follows suit. So, honestly, shout out to Stefanski. People are going to give him a little crap and say, yeah, he should have ran it with Nick Chubb more. But you got a first overall pick in Baker Mayfield. Can you sue the guy for wanting to get a change of pace and not let the defense be so predictable they're going to run it 3 times? Because if they did run it 3 times, let's say it's 3rd and 4 and they don't get it on 4th down, everyone's going to be super pissed at him. He was kind of in a lose-lose as long as Baker doesn't do exactly what Baker did. But more importantly, if the refs just called what they should have called, defensive holding, or if there's no imaginary false start, that honestly doesn't really change much. It was 4th and 22. I don't think 4th and 17 was going to get converted anyway with the way Baker was playing. But if we can bash on the refs, we'll bash on the refs. We'll see you later here on the Browns Report.